me tell you something about evil forces. They are very open to invitation, and any form of invitation. Here's one story of that invitation. I grew up in a very strict religious household. As I got older, I began to struggle with my faith in God. When I was a teenager, I became fascinated with the occult. I came to the conclusion that the best way to prove myself that God existed was to see if demons existed. I began collecting books about witchcraft and demonology. Looking back now, I realize how foolish I was. I didn't understand what I was getting myself into. I began reading these books and actively trying to invite demons into my life. I would read passages from the books out loud, reciting long strings of demonic names, and I would draw satanic symbols on the walls and floors of my bedroom and try to cast summoning spells. The demons didn't come to me at all of a sudden. They came gradually and steadily working their way into my life. I hardly noticed it was happening until it was already too late. I started having horrible nightmares. I would wake up in the middle of the night and hear the sound of fate, laughter, or whispering. At first I thought it was just my imagination. Then things started getting more intense. Sometimes I would wake up paralyzed. Sometimes I would feel my bed moving. Sometimes I would find all my sheets lying on the floor. My personality began to change. I was tired all the time. I became angry and irritable. I was distant and withdrawn. My family started to notice all these changes in me, and my parents brought me to a psychologist, but he couldn't find anything wrong with me. Late one night, I was awoken by the full moon shining on my face. I felt very strange, as if the world was somehow disjointed and I was disconnected from it. I felt like I was floating on in a vacuum, that when I looked down and realized that my body was floating above the bed. All of a sudden I felt something grab me by my feet and start violently shaking me like a rag doll. I was being whipped back and forth. I saw one side of the room and then the other flashing before my eyes. I was terrified. Something was trying to kill me or tear me away from the world. Eventually, it would stop shaking me, and I felt myself being pressed up against the ceiling, as if it was trying to crush me. Then suddenly, I slammed down on the bed. I felt something heavy on my chest pressing down on me. It was as if someone invisible weight was pushing me down, and it was getting heavier and heavier. I was paralyzed and I couldn't catch my breath. I remember thinking that this is just a dream. There's no way any of this is happening. Then I heard a sound I will never forget as long as I live. I heard the sound of the bed creaking. I was sinking into the bed, and the sound of the bed warping under increasing weight, as real this was really happening. In a frenzy of fear, I burst out of the bed and ran out of the room. I went to my mom's room and woke up. I was wide-eyed with fear and hyperventilating. She eventually calmed me down when asking questions. I told he what had happened, but she laughed it off and told me I could stay the night in her room. The next morning I knew what I had to do. I went back to my room and gathered up all the occult books and materials. Then I took them outside and dumped them in a metal garbage can and burned them. I cleaned all the symbols off my bedroom walls, and I never slept in that room again. Nothing like that ever happened to me again. I think whatever demonic forces it was had they once chance, but they failed, and they never bothered me again. So do I believe in God now? I'm still not sure, but I do know that there are merciless evil entities in this world, and if you invite them into your life, they will gladly come. This is a story view of a female who have practiced this out of her curiosity, but as me as a storyteller of telling you this true tale, and also my own personal experience, I advise you, not to fuck with black magic or demonic forces, because they are very fucking real.